Well, hello there. I thought I'd give you all an update on my Federal Signal MC controller because I'm sure many of you are wondering what's wrong with it, what's going on with it, what's the current status, and I thought maybe it's time, maybe you should know. For the MC controller, it still works, but it always seems to have difficulty. It's mainly because of the amplifiers. The amplifiers keep failing because, unfortunately, a lot of them have water damage or they're just very corrosive. So, I have a few amplifiers that are dead, but despite that, though, the ones that do work, the controller itself technically still works with only just one amplifier or two, but all six of them, unfortunately, not all six work. So, for those of you that were wondering about the 612 at my friend Ben, if you're wondering why, why we were having difficulty, it's mainly because when we had all 12 drivers hooked up to my MC controller, because not all amplifiers were working, it was an overload on all 12 drivers. So unfortunately, we only had I think either 2 or 3 amplifiers working instead of all 6, compared to all 12 drivers that we were trying to run, and because of that, it caused too much of a it was too much for the controller to handle, and because it's such an old controller, it's just became what I consider unreliable. But what I should probably tell you, I actually decided that I'd give the controller to my friend Ben and let him have it because I didn't want to have to say this, but I don't really have any use for it, and I don't really need it anymore. The main reason why I bought the MC controller, in case for those of you who don't know, my attempt back in 2012, this was for the first time attempting to, but unfortunately it was too late, and I wish I would have known this sooner, but the idea was to try to see if I could obtain Sheldon Park's 612 Cyratone controller. But back in 2012, I was told by West Shore Services, which is true, that the Cyratone controller that was for the Sheldon Park 612, or going by the serial number that was matched on the photo that I've taken, or one of the photos that me and an old friend of mine took while the siren was still in place, didn't match. So unfortunately, the Sheldon Park 612 controller has been scrapped and used for parts, according to what West Shore Service told me. And after doing some thorough investigation throughout the yard back in 2012, when I went to West Shore Services for the first time, there were several Cyratone controllers that they had, but they were all in really bad shape. So the Cyratone controller that I got, which of course was not the Sheldon Park one, because the Sheldon Park one's been scrapped, okay? But the Cyratone controller that I saved looked like it was the best one I could find, and it looked like it was pretty good. However, it didn't work. It didn't run. It was getting power, but no signals were working. Now, the probable cause could be because I didn't have like a jumper plug or something into it, which I didn't know of at the time, but if only I would have known that, and there was a way how I could, get one or somehow hook it up, or, if I actually did have one, then, I wouldn't have had a problem. So what I'd end up doing is, after I got the Cyratone controller, several weeks later, or a month later, whenever that was, I wanted to trade it in for a different siren controller, or one that I thought would be better. And so I picked one that was unfortunately still attached to the pole at West Shore Services that was from a 612 siren head. And this one turned out to be a completely different looking controller. And I was wondering, like, why does this look so different? But I didn't realize this controller that I ended up getting happened to be a Federal Signal MC controller, which I actually did not know about. However, in some ways, I'm actually kind of glad that I bought it, but the main reason the main reason I wanted it is so I can have like a Federal Signal controller that would do mainly alternate whale, and unfortunately the MC controller was the best I could get, but you know, it unfortunately does not beat Cyratone. You know, that's the problem. But besides that, you know, I was very grateful to own the MC controller, but unfortunately, I just don't really have the desire to keep it anymore. So I decided to give it to my friend Ben. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you an update on my friend Ben's Siren. For the 612, many of you are wondering, you know, when's he going to do that and such like that. He gave me permission to where I can go ahead and speak for it, but he hasn't bothered to have the time, neither have I, to bother to fiddle around with it, because we unfortunately are working full time. Not together, but we just work full time, and because of that, we just never bother to really take the time to bother to mess with our sirens and such like that. So, you know, for the MC controller, I decided that my friend Ben should keep it, because he would have a better use for it than I would, because I don't really need it. I still have my Wheeling controller, and I'm certainly keeping that. As long as I live, I'm keeping that Wheeling controller. I want to keep it as long as I live. So, for the MC controller, my friend Ben, I'm going to say it's now officially his, even though he didn't actually bought it from me. I just basically kind of gave it to him. He wants to pay me, but I told him to hold off on that, because if he wants to do that, I want to make sure the controller is fully functional, and right now it's not. Now, it's mainly because of the amplifiers, but another problem we have is that the fuses that I got or I ordered to place in for the amplifiers, some of the fuses that I ordered, unfortunately, were the wrong kind. They were 15 amp fuses, as they were supposed to be, but they unfortunately turned out to be fast-blown fuses instead of slow-blow fuses. So that's also another reason as to what happened, you know, why we were having malfunctions. So it's mainly because improper fuses and not sufficient enough amplifiers working. And because of that, the MC controller tends to be very glitchy. It just, like, sometimes it'll run fully functional as it's supposed to, and sometimes it won't. Sometimes it just stops right away, and you know, it's like as if it has a mind of its own. So because of that, I kind of felt the MC controller was just too much for me to want to be able to waste my time bother working on it, because I don't, like I said, because I don't really have any patience. I kind of just felt, you know what, screw it, I don't want this anymore. So I decided that Ben should keep it, so he can have better use for it. So hopefully we can use it on his 612 Siren Head. You know, we attempted to try to do that earlier this year, but we had very little success. But I'm not exactly sure when we're going to be able to repair it, but in the meantime, I should just let you know that the MC controller, I decided that I just have no use for it anymore. Now, I'm not sure if I'll try and get a Cyratone controller. I would like to, but I gotta check with West Shore Services, and if I do, I'm gonna have to get another cart, you know, it's just a certain process, and you know, I'm just kind of not. Because I rarely sound off my siren, for example, my Wheeling, because I rarely touch it, you know, I just don't really know if I really, you know, need another controller or not. But my Emerson Wheeling siren, I'm definitely keeping that as long as I live, because that's a important historical equipment. And because my friend Ben happens to own the Sheldon Park 612 Siren Head, that's also another important thing too. Even though the heart of the siren, which is the controller, has been scrapped, but because, you know, half of it was been preserved, you know, at least, you know, there's still some bit of hope. So, at least for old sirens that Livonia used to have, at least we have, some bit of it saved. Let's just put it that way. And these two right there are the two sirens I grew up hearing as a kid before 2008. That's my desktop on my computer. So, the thing is, me and my friend Ben, we just don't, we're just kind of not really committed or dedicated to wanting to work on our sirens very well, because we're just kind of busy with life and there's just more important things to do, and we're just not, again, we're just not really well motivated very well. But there is one proposed plan that I do want to do that actually can be done. However, we don't have we don't have everything we need in order to achieve this plan. However, I'd rather keep this plan a secret because I want it to be a surprise, and I don't want to give out any hints of the plan. But I do have a proposed plan. I don't know when we're going to do this, and it probably most likely will not be this year, but hopefully sometime in the future. I eventually, me and my friend Ben, we thought of a plan that I thought you would all love, but I don't want to tell you what it is because I don't want to have to be a party crasher. But I'd rather keep it a secret because I want it to be a surprise. But I'm not sure when we're gonna get it. I'm sorry if many of you are kind of disappointed about the fact of our disappointment and such like that we've been going through and such like that. I apologize for that. But above all that, though, we're not siren experts, but at the same time, we do love outdoor warning sirens. For me, I'm still gonna film sirens. About my friend Ben, he might not. He's kind of a slight. He told me that he's kind of slightly careless to have to, wanted to go out and film sirens, but that's okay. That's his choice. He doesn't have to. It's not required. But anyways, what I should probably point out, he's kind of getting a little fed up with people kind of bothering him about his 612 and such like that. And I just want to say that despite your frustrations and disappointment, I just kind of felt I should make a point that, we're sorry that, we haven't been, up to date as we should have been. But as I was going to say, his 612 Siren Head, it's looking just fine, but, as far as, like, using a proper siren controller or an efficient one, we just haven't bothered to gotten to that. And, yeah, that's about all I can think of. But, this Saturday I'll be planning on filming something special that I think you all like. And I'll be looking forward to filming more sirens that you'll not want to miss either when I get there. But I should just let you know. And, yeah, that's all I can think of. Have a wonderful day.